I'm Susan Bateman. I'm the designer of this whole project. I am from Matecumbe United Methodist Church in ISLAMORADA, and we're going to tell you about our stained glass project.
Hi, my name is Carol Wagner, and I've been working with Susan since the year 2000, and we have done 14 windows in the sanctuary, and we're going to give you a little tour of it.
I usually tell this story from the beginning of our story because I can remember what I'm doing that long. The only stained glass that was in this church is true stained glass, and it's the Jesus window up at the front. The rest of this is what's called opalescent glass. It's done in Tiffany's style. Tiffany's one of the originators of opalescent glass. This is my book. This has got the whole story of how we did the sanctuary building. And what happened when, and I don't trust my memory to tell you all, and I don't read the book very often, so you'll have to get the book and see. This sanctuary has a long history, starting about 1850. The yellow awning windows came to it in 1958 when this sanctuary was built. Everything was gold except for Jesus. You're going to see that in a minute. What we did here since 2002 is we replaced all those awning windows and all that gold glass. I'm going to show you that picture in a second. And we put stained glass windows in their replacement. A lot of this history is all about the hurricane of 35, and that's when our original building was wiped out, and we had to build this one, and it didn't happen until 1958. Okay, this is what it used to look like. Somewhere in 1999 or thereabouts, I met Carol because I was up here looking at Jesus here. I'd been talking to Jesus for a year before we ever started our project, maybe a year and a half. And I think it was. And I was up here looking at Jesus, and she said, "What are you doing?" She came up here and stood next to me after church, and I said, "I'm studying it." She said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I kind of wanted to know about how it was put together and what they used for reinforcing." And so I was kind of looking at it. She said, "Why would you want to know that?" And I said, "Well, I do stained glass." She said, "You do?" And then she said, "I've been praying for something to do that I would be good at." And I said, "Oh." And all of a sudden I was doing this project and there was no turning back. I had talked to God a lot about this, and I had to sit down there and look at these yellow windows and God says, "You could fix this." And I said, "No." And he said, "Yes, you could." I said, "But I have carpal tunnel." And he said, "Get help." And I said, "Yeah, but these are bigger windows than anything I've ever done before." And he said, "Yeah." So we talked like this for a long time before I even came up here and started looking at the reinforcing. Well, what we did, with the advice of my dad partly, was we started an organization, and I had to charge people to teach them how to do this, to get the materials to do it. And to get the equipment, we needed grinders and cutters and breakers and glass. So I started with those designs came from a book of symbols, religious symbols. We started in July of 2020. First window we did was the Christmas window. My dad said he wanted that one for my mother because she had a big thing about Christmas. So we started with that window, and then we did the Easter window the next year, and then, which is really Passover and everything, Easter week.
And then we have the fishing window. She left me all alone to go to Ohio. It was scary, but we didn't have anywhere to put the old gold glass, so we made some goldfish to put in the net. But that was very complicated. We had to do all the lines in the net and the fish and that. I wanted to do tilapia, but we couldn't really do it like that. It didn't work, so we just made the shapes of fish in the net because there had to be so many flopping around.
And so then the next year we did the balcony window, which is the original church done in stained glass. Then we started with doing the sanctuary. And at that point I said, we can't do this for free anymore. We have to make money off of this because the church needs money. And you're only gonna have one shot at this. And we always needed money. Everybody was bleeding all the time about how we didn't have any money. So I said, you know, this isn't about the money. This is about people valuing what they have or what they've paid for. So I said, after talking to my dad again, I said, well, what do you think we need to do? Well, first off, we had to replace the original awning windows with hurricane windows, and that was a couple $1,000s a piece.
Susan, we did the panels. We started working on the panels in her basement.
Yeah.
But we needed $25,000 for a new roof, and I told her that the church wouldn't go for it, and so we'll do it in my basement. And it's June, and we're sweating, and there's no air conditioner. We're making those little windows, and she said, "Well, it'll take you 6 months to make them." Okay.
I said that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
I must have been dragging my feet.
By Labor Day, we had them all done. And I said, what do we do now? She said, well, I guess I'll have to do the other 9 windows over there. So by Christmas, we had them all done, installed, and everybody just took off from there. All the people got more interested in it because they loved what they saw.
So we started with this plan to move financially forward. People could buy a panel or a window, a whole window if they wanted, or they could go in with somebody and divide it. And we said, okay, maximum number is 4 people can contribute to this. And it's not going to say on these signs, it's not going to say this was paid for by what's her name. It's going to say in honor of or in memory of somebody, because I feel strongly about this. It's not about an advertisement for how good somebody is. It's about memories and in honor of somebody else. So they said nobody will ever pay $10,000 a panel. And I said, you have no idea. How many of you people have a $100,000 boat? 50? And they all just kind of looked at me and said, they got quiet. And I said, you haven't even asked Chica or Bob Rich or somebody else for money. They would pay for it. And they said, oh no, we don't want that. So between July when we talked about it and November when all the snowbirds started coming back, we had bids for every one of these windows. Now, Judy Winstall has been our CFO of our finances, and she handled all of this. She talked to all these people, and people paid on time. They paid for it any way they could. And that was just fine. That's the way it should be. It should be it's not about me, it's not about the money, but people needed to know that they were getting something of value. And so they were very happy to come up with the money. Some people came up with the whole thing. Some people paid for it all at once. Some people paid for it until they died. And it's okay. It's all okay. Well, I also set up in my original charter that this money was not going to go into the general church fund. It was going to be designated for capital improvements. It's too easy for money to slip through your fingers, and you just, they always can find stuff to donate it to or give it away or whatever. And I thought we needed to keep it in the church. The church was in terrible shape and needed lots of repairs. It still does. It always does. But that's still to this day what we do with the money, is we buy things the church needs, or we get something fixed or something.
We received these for the Matecumbe United Methodist Church. The state of Florida has given us these 2 plaques plus one outside, a big bronze plaque, and it's the designation for historical thing. I think we're the first ones in ISLAMORADA to be historical.
Well, that's because everything else got blown away.
Yeah, and the cemetery also is.
Remember this picture, you're going to see it again. It's upstairs in glass.
there's a light here. It almost looks like the glass we used for the door and the windows, it's almost like somebody's walking around in there.
Project means to me that God pushed me to go beyond my capabilities. It gave me, what I got out of it was it gave me a place for camaraderie and friendship with people who thought kind of like I did. Not sure if anybody thinks like I do, but it gave me a place to make friends. By the time we got started on this, it was 2002. I'd been here for 1.5 years by then. And I really had met people, but nobody really needed friends. And what I found out was that there were a lot of people, a lot of snowbirds even, who came down here, had nothing to do. The reason I started it was because people needed something to do together. There was a lot of bickering when we started this about all kinds of stuff that's stupid, like the color of the carpet. And this gave them something productive to do together. This church was viewed as a dying church because there were so many old people. And people tend to think that when you're old, you don't have anything to contribute. Well, I'm getting there now. I don't think I'm done yet, but it was to bring people into this church, to let them know that we were still alive and productive in doing things. And it has done that in spades. We have gotten so many new people interested in the church because of this project. And we have people who come from all over the world who come here and come to our church. And there's one lady who comes every year, and she comes from England. She has 2. Yeah. And they come and they don't even necessarily want to work with us, although they have. But we became a tourist destination for them. Every year they come in and meet with us and see us. And we have lunch with them. And they just loved having that connection to our community. So many of these people, after you go fishing so many days, or if your husband goes fishing so many days, what do you do with your time? You can only read so many books and sit on the beach for so long, especially if you're elderly. And this gave them a destination and someplace they could go hang with people who are good people. It has done that so over and over again. We've had people join the church. We've had people move here because of this project. So it's done everything I expected it to do. I didn't ever do this. It was never about me. This was always about bringing people into the church and making them a part of something bigger than themselves. And it has really been wonderful for that.
Well, Susan helped me come out of my shell, I guess, and she always makes me laugh, and she's always coming up with something to make me just break out laughing. And we had so many people after the first 9 that sometimes we would have 15 or 20 people in the stained glass room working on one window or whatever we were working on, and they just love it. And now some of the ladies are older and they can't stand or they can't do the stained glass, but they play cards on Tuesday morning when we work. And I'm also giving tours for a young man who brings people by, and I think we've done over 300 tours or more in the past few years. And he brings people in. I don't know where he's even from, but he brings people in, and I give them a tour, and they just love that. I give them one of Susan's books, and they have they really enjoy it. So I just work doing the stained glass is just fantastic. It just means so much to me to be able to do that,
We Emily Vasilla, Joy McIntosh, Alma Dalton, Carol Wagner, Elizabeth Stanley, Carl Keith, Cindy Hollingsworth, Brooks Bateman, my husband, and Jim Altman all started to work on these windows when in the first year.
This is our workshop. We do all the stained glass that is in the church. We did here, and
Except what went in my basement.
except for what was in Susan's basement. And they also film Bloodline here and in the church as well.
And Carol is the shop manager. When we started all this, I said I need help. After we started doing the big stuff, and I said I need help. Somebody's got to handle the money. Somebody else has to handle things, you know.
Yeah.
So Carol is the major thing that keeps the shop running. Listening to us and our story about the church and a little bit of the history. There's more on our website. We've been happy to share with you. Bye.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, my name is Carol Wagner, and I've been working with Susan since 2000.
Let's do it again. 3, 2, 1, go. Left this out.
I was gonna read this to you. Read this before I came, so I remember what I was doing.
Okay. You guys walk. I'll just follow you. You just go. All right. Go. 3, 2, 1. So you can tell me about this room now. So now this is the view from here, and maybe tell me something.
Carol was in charge, so I had to come back once in a while and blow her skirts up a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't say that. We had to come back.
Real quick before we continue, point to me.
That's the Christmas window.
Yeah. No, you can stay where you are. You can stay where you are.
Lifetime. I don't know what's going to happen when we go.
Well, you got to do a lot of windows before you go.
Well, we're kind of done. I don't know what happens next. We're at this.
Let's go to the next church, the next Methodist church.